This is part 2, the review. Got cut off. Hate doing it outside because people keep on being around. But, like I was saying, the dialogue in the end would have been very sweet with some dialogue where she admitted she admit that Joel is her father. She does admit that she don't want Tommy to be killed because that's her uncle. And she says in the dialogue where when her and Abby go at it, there's more antagonizing where saying, okay, come out, Abby. Come on. Don't let that steroids make you a coward. Comments like this where it would have grabbed the player of the hate that everybody has for for Abby, where Ellie is taunting her and saying stuff. Oh, I killed your boyfriend. And I killed I killed this pregnant friend too. Come on out and fight me like a man with the steroid, your roids up. Where do you get roids in this day and age? You know, things like that. It would have been better that the dialogue would have been 10 times better. Also, why couldn't we have a diary of Joel to understand what Joel was going through? Because a lot of people are pissed off and mad about, hey man, what they did with Joel was crazy. It doesn't matter what his characterization was, but I'm gonna give you comparison on the characterization of in post-apocalyptic world series, right? But I'm gonna finish this. Not enough gameplay with Ellie at all. Not enough background on how Joel changed over the years, which was, why don't we get a diary? Why didn't we get something in the backlog or tapes of Joel saying how he felt about Ellie and how he loved Ellie and all this other stuff? We would have been okay if we would have known that Joel softened up over the past couple of years. But we didn't get it. Not enough background on how Ellie became friends with Dina and Jesse. Not enough. So, for people who crying about the series and stuff like that, there's a lot of stories that I see oh my God. There's a lot of stories that I see that do a better job than Last of Us Part 2. And I'm gonna name them, but then there's kind of like correlations that I see on here. So the relationship between Joel and Ellie kind of remind me of the relationship between Elizabeth King and Raymond Reddington from The Blacklist. Because, you know, you had Raymond Reddington protecting this girl, his daughter, most of her life from the bad of the world. She was born to a legendary criminal father and a legendary assassin mom, spy mom. And his whole life was to protect her from their reputations. And over the years, they go back and forth where they have cracks in their relationships, but they end up mending it because they care about each other. Even certain dialogues suggest that she cares about him, even though she didn't know he was her father. Now in the later episodes, it's like he's a fake or whatever. I don't really care about that. I mean, that was a stupid twist. But the whole story of The Blacklist is about a father and a daughter, kind of like Joel and Ellie. So I never got mad at this story because I have another platform of watching a father and daughter relationship and how they go back and forth. They did a better job. They will always do a better job than The Last of Us Part 2. I still like The Last of Us, but There's only small chunks of The Last of Us Part 2 that you can see in the Blacklist. So Dexter Morgan and Deborah Morgan. Dexter, as people know, was a serial killer. And his sister was a cop. And he worked as a blood tech. The minute that she found out he was a serial killer, it broke her. Kind of like when Ellie found out that Joel took away her purpose, it broke her. But she tried to mend herself with him. And she was not able to do it. Same thing what happened with Deborah Morgan when she tried to kill Dexter and herself. She found out all this dark stuff about her brother, her adopted brother, and the person she thought she was in love with, and some incest stuff. She threw her life away to become something like him, and it broke her. Same thing happened with Ellie, the ending of The Last of Us, where Ellie becomes what Joel was. They should have made a dialogue with Ellie talking at the end. Like I said before, that I have a problem with the ending, where she admits that she's like Joel and she wants to overcome like Joel. Because it took Joel 20 years to get over his daughter's death. So it might take her 20 years to get over Joel's death. But she's trying. And then, when Deborah kind of had it clearly, she went through drugs. She did all this crazy stuff. But then when she tried to take her life and take Dexter's life with her, she had a clarity moment that she has to let Dexter be who he is. And don't get in his way. Learn to live with him. And that's what Ellie would have done with Joel. I understand what you did. And it's the best thing that somebody ever gave to me. That decided to keep the world the way it is and throw the world away instead of throwing my life away. And if that would have happened, that kind of dialogue would have happened, people would have been more receptive to this game. Post-apocalyptic families. They had it in The Last of Us, but they didn't actually they didn't say anything about it. You didn't hear uncle, you didn't hear father, you didn't hear anything like that. You didn't hear nothing like that, and that's what made this story feel dry and kind of like it makes me headcanon everything when I do the scenes. When I look at the scenes, I'm like, I headcanon and think that this was the scenes that should have been happening. And a post-apocalyptic family, it happened in The Walking Dead. No matter how people feel about it, everybody had a post-apocalyptic family member. Rick and Daryl are post-apocalyptic brothers. Maggie and Glenn, boyfriend and then husband and wife. Sasha and Maggie, both of them lost family members and they became sisters. Carol and Daryl became like brother and sister. Michonne was kind of what Ellie became after she lost Joel. But she got her humanity back when she learned to like Carl. And her relationship with, well, I still don't like the relationship, but I kind of like understand it in a way where she cared about Rick. Abraham is what Joel was. A guy who was willing to survive, who ran off his real family and got them killed. This is what Joel did to Ellie. Ran her off. And with his brutality and his selfishness. The climbers, determinists, and the Memorial, these three groups kind of remind me of the groups that are in The Last of Us. And you see small parts of these groups that turn the main character into a better survivalist. And Alexandria and Jackson. Alexandria is the best, one of the best settlements of the post-apocalyptic society, where it was untouched with anything. It had resources, food, and everything, just like Jackson. It was, you seen Rick change. You see how he just wanted to take over, but then you see him becoming cocky and arrogant, kind of like Ellie became. Rick became too docile in order to protect people because he had to protect more people. This is kind of how I think they should have written Joel and gave him a legacy of showing him that he has to protect the town, he has to protect Ellie, he has to protect the future. He has to make sure that Ellie is safe in this place, and he has to make the place safe for everybody else. Because Ellie is not the only child that he has to look after. You know, you seen when Negan made Rick turn into a little punk. But it's kind of what happened with Joel, where Joel looked so sad and defeated when he disappointed Ellie. This tough guy don't want to disappoint his daughter. But they didn't put any context to it. So overall, this whole hate for it, I wouldn't suggest that it's super hate. I would suggest that move the fuck on. Okay, just move the fuck on. Stop talking about how bad the game is and how this and this and that and it's the worst ending ever and keep talking about it, making 1,000 fucking videos about it. You don't like the game, fine. You waited 7 years for this game. Look for the good in this game. Headcanon when you playing it. Other than that, I give this game, to me, an 8. That's it. It can't be a 10. It's an 8. It's an 8 because it did a lot of things that I loved, but it can never make that 10 mark because it disappointed me in other ways. But I can actually appreciate the things that they had in this game. But now I'm going to give you the truth. Would I ever buy another Naughty Dog game ever again? I don't think so. Let's talk about, there was too many LGBTQs in there that I don't think it was a whole SJW game because Ellie was a lesbian in the first game, but I think that it was too much things in there that was LGBTQ community and it was forced. You saw rainbow flags inside the game that shouldn't have been there in a post-apocalyptic world. Like, huh? How did they find paint? How did they find paint to paint rainbow flags in the middle of the street? Also, every character seemed to have a relationship with the same sex. When you hear the back dialogue, like, oh, I'm gonna teach my boyfriend some salsa, or I got a girl back home, and I'm like, huh? What the? Y'all forcing this now. So I admit to that, but I don't think it's a whole SJW game, because if it was, the leaks was wrong. Abby wasn't SJW. She just was a person who thought that power and strength was gonna get her revenge. But she still had a guy that she loved, was Owen. She knew him before her pre WLF enrollment. But yeah, it was too much of that. This is gonna be the last Naughty Dog game that I ever buy. Ever. So it go down this path, I said that before. I'm not gonna buy another Naughty Dog game, even if The Last of Us Part 3 come out. If it's under somebody else, I will buy it. But if it's under the same group, I'm probably just gonna pass on it. Because I walked away from mini games. I walked away from mini games, mini series that I don't like no more. So I can walk away from The Last of Us. So pretty much The Last of Us is going to be the last of time that I'm going to play a Naughty Dog game. It was just too much in there that they should have finished in the game. And they say they cut content out of the game. Okay, put it back in. I don't... tell us what the cut content is. Make a DLC for the game. And fix the problems that you did it. That's the only way you can get the fans back. Other than that, I'm done with Naughty Dog. I'm really done with them. Yeah, that was my opinion about The Last of Us Part 2. That's my opinion, so don't get mad.